Hey everyone, good evening. It's Matt. Just wanted to say hey, been a while on Substack. Anyway, um, I really enjoy Mike Park's radio show. His online presence that he does for his terrestrial radio show, Pirate Cat Radio, and I mean you can look that up. Mike Park, legendary musical figure. Um, Like he'd be legendary strictly as a musician with Skank and Pickle and his own solo music, as well as various other projects. Which, with anybody with a really deep discography over many decades, well, since the '90s, I mean that's middle-aged dude, right? Respect. And he's just since out of the gate, he's just contributed so much, right? Skank and Pickle, like I remember listening to Skank and Pickle in the '90s when they were coming out, and they're just so fun, such a great band, such a great vibe. Um, and then, right, with Asian Man Records, um, as well as just putting out his own music and various. It's such a deep discography with Asian Man that I'm not even going to pretend to know really deeply about any of it. But what's really interesting is that over the past 5 years or so, last 3 or 4 years for sure, Alkaline Trio and the Lawrence Arms have emerged as like basically two of my most favorite contemporary punk bands. Like I can just listen to Trio any friggin' time, and I can listen to Lawrence Arms like probably even more than that, just because the way that the writers go with that, it just really resonates for me. And so Mike Park, right, Asian Man Records has put out the first albums from both those artists, and as well as associated and sundry acts, right? Like, like the lore is deep, right? You can't really look at '90s Midwest emo or punk or anything adjacent without looking at Asian Man Records. And between Trio and Lawrence Arms, I mean, they've gone on, both of them, to pretty significant success. Definitely Alkaline Trio, for sure. Like, out of anybody, more so, probably. We're talking Bat Records, we're talking Epitaph Records. In punk and alternative and indie guitar based music, I mean, that's where you want to be. It's as good as it will ever get in terms of quality, in terms of distribution, in terms of being able to travel with your music to the extent that you want to the extent that you're able to. And so, I mean, again, right? Um, Matt Skiba's band Electron, also featuring Adam Willard, who's now of Trio, Alkaline Trio. I mean, they went back to Asian Man to put out their single last year, and it's a beautiful vinyl object, which I no longer own because I got rid of all my vinyl. It's not last year, I guess 2 years ago at this point, whatever it was, recently. Um, he's such a humble guy. He's so nice. He's so funny. And again, like I was married to a Korean lady for 17 years, mom to my teenage kids. A lot of respect for her, and I recognize the Abogi stuff. I recognize, just certain aspects of the Korean cultural identity, just in kind of the way he carries himself on the show. And anyway, I could go on. I really enjoy dialing into his show on Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. For California time. He's located in some locality in Northern California, in the Bay Area, I guess. Anywho, and there's just such a cool, fun and community of people who show up for it. It's like never less than 20, usually never more than 30 or 35. But some of the presences who show up in the online chat, and then overlapping, with calling in, you really do. You want to watch the Instagram just for the interactions, peer to peer interactions on the thing, as well as Mike kind of scrolling through. There was a documentary crew in there today. They're making a documentary of some variety. I didn't catch all the details, but um, I mean, of course you would. Mike Park, again, right? One man enterprise of Asian Man Records, like folding records, putting them out, just positive vibes from that guy, always across all of his projects. Just such a great musician, just entering middle life the way that you want to, like a champ. Again, I spend so much time, it seems like, just trolling celebrity websites and stuff, which I'm out. I mean, I'm dialing that way down. It's kind of served its purpose for me, but I still kind of poke at it a bit for amusement, more than anything, and to draw attention to the legitimate academic and professional stuff. I'm basically repositioning it now so that everything's going to start feeding directly into Substack sooner than later, because the algorithm stuff in Facebook is just I can't even pretend to enjoy Facebook anymore. I'm really, the only thing that keeps me engaged with it is that I'm on this sort of cultural mission a bit to kind of develop a platform for the interview series that I think, for the music side of it and the book side of it, the writer side of it rather, I think both of those are legit and worth kind of trying to develop through the meta platforms. But in terms of like a just dedicated personal use, I'm out. I strictly see at this point now Facebook and Instagram as only a means and only a means to amplify content, I suppose. Although I don't like that term, but content relationally, to the two conversation series, plus the ongoing Ed Non-Tech podcasts, and some interviews that go with that, with Dr. Doug Reed. And then as well, I mean, I have creative writing projects on the go, well outside the scope of this stuff. I mean, we're talking narrative, short story, poetry. Um, I do feel comfortable in pretty much just about any format at this point. And it's really just more the case that I'm kind of waiting for the right projects to present itself, in terms of, I don't know, monetizing a thing. I don't fucking, that's the part of it that I'm not really thinking too hard on. At this point, I'm just like, well, I've got these platforms, right, which I'm going to kind of put them to their best advantage. And once that's kind of set up, then I devote attention to the longer form narrative right now. I think I can do a 3-day novel. I think I can do, if I wanted to really go full genre, I could do a splatter punk novel, or I think I could do something maybe more magical realism. I have a couple of ways of doing either of those things that I think just for 3 or 4 days of just sort of dedicated energy to developing that into a novel length thing on the short side of a novel, I think that those could potentially be of interest. But then also, I have some pretty substantive thoughts as to what may constitute some pretty interesting and innovative nonfiction pieces of work relative to my stature and interest as a doctorate in educational technology and with pretty significant experience in that area. Educational use of online stuff has really been my professional bag largely at the master's and doctoral levels. Since 2008 is when I started the MEd, fall of 2008, in instructional design, right? So I think reasonably I can track it back that far. So again, right, lots of sort of things I could be working on. So again, at the moment, I just sort of set up the websites. I kind of get the formats just so, and then once that is set up, it kind of times real well with I have this time away from work because of my involuntary, but through no fault. I mean, I got laid off, right, from my job. No fault there, right? Just laid off with a bunch of other people. Um, so I have the time now. I have a few months where I can sort of choose the most viable of these projects and bring them to a further level of development, I suppose. So again, in true English teacher fashion, anytime I do one of these videos, I think, just 3, 4, 7 minutes most, and here we are going on 12. At this point, I'm really just kind of spinning the time until I can leave properly. I'm waiting for my next pay, my final pay, from my institution to land on the 15th. And then when I receive those funds, I'll be making my way from Fort Mac, Alberta, where I'm presently located. I'll be leaving directly either to Kamloops or Kelowna, BC, immediately. So at the moment, I've got some time. At the moment, I've got a few things I can work on. So again, much appreciation and respect to anybody who is checking this out whatsoever. I definitely plan to engage through Substack way more. Like I said, I have very, very little active personal interest at all in either of the main two meta platforms. So I just Substack wins by default. Not having advertisements and not having an algorithm that are sort of pushing just all kinds of awful, annoying, just visual clutter, Russian bots, and just it's just anyway. The ecosystem of the digital ecosystem in Meta is completely underregulated intentionally, and it's basically at this point not much more than a propaganda mechanism for the right wing of the American enterprise, such as it remains. That's another story for another time. I'm really looking forward to just kind of putting this whole kind of seeing what I can sort of compel the algorithm to kind of move, right? Some of this celebrity baiting, some of this MAGA baiting. Again, it's just really more like, okay, you got some attention now towards like a pretty legitimate academic and cultural enterprise with these podcasts and other stuff. At least as far as I'm concerned, right? Hoping to find a way to monetize this. That's really what it's about. But, when it's ready, it's ready. It's not really within my control, that part of it. Book proposals. I'm planning on putting together some book proposals. That's something, right? Wow. Almost 15 minutes of this. Thanks a lot for checking this out. Whoever you are, especially Mike Park. 3 cheers for Mike Park. Hooray for Mike Park. Hooray for Mike Park. Friggin' A right, Mike Park. Bye for now, people.